Emily Davis knelt beside a damaged spotting scope at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado's long-distance qualification range, her brown hair pulled back in a practical bun as she carefully disassembled the precision optics. Around her, Navy SEAL candidates from Bud/Class 347 were engaged in advanced marksmanship training, the rhythmic crack of their rifles punctuating the cool San Diego morning. At 33, Emily was just another civilian contractor in the vast support network that kept the training facilities running, invisible to the instructors and trainees focused on the grueling SEAL qualification process. Her job was straightforward: maintain and repair the range equipment, ensure the optics were properly calibrated, and stay out of the way of the training cadre. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe that heroes come in the most unexpected forms, don't forget to subscribe. Davis, we need that scope operational in 10 minutes, called Chief Petty Officer Martinez from the firing line. Admiral Wilson is bringing congressional visitors for a demonstration at 2 p.m. Yes, Chief, Emily replied, her voice calm and professional as she accelerated her work, her fingers moving with practiced precision through the delicate components of the loopholed spotting scope. Martinez gave a curt nod before turning back to the SEAL candidates, immediately forgetting about the civilian technician. In the 4 months since Emily had started working at the range, that was the extent of most interactions with the instructors, brief task-focused exchanges that acknowledged her existence only in relation to the equipment she maintained. She was background noise, as unremarkable as the waves crashing against the nearby shoreline. What no one at Coronado knew, what Emily had carefully ensured they would never know, was that she had once been Lieutenant Emily Davis, Naval Intelligence Officer, attached to SEAL Team 6 for 3 high-risk operations, in locations that remained classified at the highest levels. The hands that now calibrated spotting scopes had once coordinated real-time intelligence during the most sensitive counterterrorism missions. Her voice a constant presence in the operators' earpieces as she directed them through hostile territory, based on satellite imagery and signal intercepts that only she could interpret. At 8:45 a.m., Emily finished repairing the spotting scope and began gathering her tools. The congressional visit was running exactly on schedule, which was typical when admirals were involved. As she packed her equipment into a worn canvas bag, she noticed a small group approaching the range. Admiral Wilson in his service dress blues, flanked by 3 men and 1 woman in business attire, who Emily immediately identified as congressional staffers rather than actual representatives. Emily kept her head down, focusing on her tools as she had trained herself to do since leaving naval intelligence. The less attention she drew, the better. Her new life depended on anonymity, on being forgettable. This is where our SEAL candidates complete their advanced marksmanship qualification, she heard Admiral Wilson explaining to the visitors. Before they can proceed to the final phases of training, they must demonstrate exceptional proficiency with multiple weapon systems under various environmental conditions. Emily zipped her tool bag and stood to leave, planning to exit the range before the tour reached her position. She had almost made it to the side gate when one of the visitors spoke. "Admiral, what's the maximum effective range you train for at this facility?" The voice stopped Emily mid-step. She knew that voice. The slight Boston accent, the authoritative tone. Without turning around, she could picture the face it belonged to: Congressman Thomas Blackburn, former Navy SEAL and current member of the House Armed Services Committee. More importantly, he had been present during her final mission briefing, before everything went wrong. The outdoor range allows engagement out to 1,000 meters. Admiral Wilson was explaining, though most operational shots in the field occur at significantly shorter distances. Emily resumed walking, more quickly now, hoping to exit before Blackburn noticed her. She had almost reached the gate when Admiral Wilson called out, "Miss Davis, a moment, please." She stopped, her heart rate accelerating slightly as she turned to face the group. "Yes, Admiral? Could you explain to our visitors how the spotting scope system works? Congressman Blackburn has expressed particular interest in our training technology." Emily approached the group, keeping her face angled slightly away from Blackburn as she focused on the spotting scope. "Of course, sir. This is a modified Losi Mark V HD spotting scope with custom ballistic reticles designed specifically for naval special warfare applications. It allows instructors to precisely evaluate candidate performance at extended ranges and in variable conditions." As she demonstrated the scope's features, Emily could feel Blackburn's eyes on her. She kept her explanation technical and brief, focusing on the equipment rather than making eye contact with the visitors. Impressive, Blackburn commented when she finished. The technology has certainly advanced since my time in the teams. Thank you, sir, Emily replied, still avoiding direct eye contact. Will there be anything else, Admiral? That's all, Miss Davis, Wilson said with a dismissive nod. Emily gathered her tool bag and walked quickly toward the gate, feeling Blackburn's gaze following her. As she reached for the latch, her bag caught on the fence post, tipping sideways and spilling several tools onto the ground. She knelt to gather them, quickly stuffing them back into the bag, when a small leather-bound notebook fell open, revealing a photograph that had been tucked between its pages. Before she could retrieve it, Blackburn was beside her, reaching down to help. His hand stopped as he saw the photograph, a team picture taken in an undisclosed location, showing Emily in combat gear standing alongside 7 Navy SEALs, their faces smudged with camouflage paint, but expressions triumphant after a successful mission. The classified nature of the operation meant no such photographs should exist outside secure facilities. Blackburn picked up the photo, studying it for a moment before looking at Emily with new recognition in his eyes. "Lieutenant Davis," he said quietly, using her former rank. "I thought you looked familiar." Emily quickly took the photograph and tucked it back into her notebook. "I'm not a lieutenant anymore, Congressman. I'm a civilian contractor." "A civilian contractor with a classified SEAL Team 6 operational photograph," Blackburn observed, keeping his voice low enough that the others couldn't hear. "Interesting career change." "It was necessary," Emily replied simply, zipping her bag with finality. "If you'll excuse me, sir, I have other equipment to service." Blackburn seemed about to say more, but instead handed her a business card. "Call me. We should talk about your career transition." By 5:30 p.m., Emily had finished her shift and was changing out of her work clothes in the small locker room reserved for civilian contractors. As she removed her rain shirt, the air conditioning raised goosebumps on her arms, highlighting the thin scar that ran across her left collarbone, a souvenir from her last mission, when an intelligence operation had gone catastrophically wrong. She quickly pulled on a civilian t-shirt, covering the scar, and was gathering her belongings when the locker room door opened. A woman entered, not one of the usual range staff, but the female staffer who had been part of the congressional tour. "Emily Davis?" she asked, though it clearly wasn't really a question. Emily assessed the woman quickly. Mid-30s, athletic build, the subtle confidence of someone with a military background, despite her civilian business attire. "Yes," she replied cautiously. "Can I help you?" "Commander Sarah Mitchell, Naval Intelligence," the woman said, showing Emily an ID card briefly before returning it to her pocket. "Congressman Blackburn asked me to speak with you." Emily's expression remained neutral, but her mind was already calculating escape routes and contingency plans. "I'm off duty now, Commander. If this is about range equipment, you can file a request through proper channels." "This isn't about spotting scopes," Mitchell said, her voice lowering. "It's about Operation Jackknife." The code name sent a jolt through Emily's system. Operation Jackknife, the mission that had ended her naval career, that had cost 4 SEAL operators their lives, that had left her with both physical and psychological scars that would never fully heal. "I don't know what you're talking about," Emily said flatly, moving toward the door. Mitchell didn't step aside. 3 years ago, you were the intelligence officer attached to SEAL Team 6 for a high-priority extraction in Yemen. The mission was compromised before the team even reached the target. 4 operators were killed, and the target, a high-value intelligence asset, was never found. Emily's expression remained carefully neutral, but her pulse had quickened. "I think you've confused me with someone else, Commander." "I don't think so," Mitchell replied. "After the mission failure, you requested immediate separation from naval service. Your request was expedited. Your records were heavily redacted, and you disappeared. Until today, when Congressman Blackburn recognized you." Emily abandoned the pretense of denial. "What do you want, Commander?" "Information," Mitchell said simply. "There's been a development related to Operation Jackknife, and we need to understand exactly what happened that night." "Everything I know was in my after-action report," Emily replied, her voice hardening. 4 good men died because our intelligence was flawed. The target location was compromised before we arrived. There's nothing more to tell." "That's just it," Mitchell countered. "Your after-action report doesn't match the SEAL team leader's report. Commander Jackson stated that the mission was proceeding according to plan, until a last-minute change in the extraction route, a change you ordered based on what you claimed was real-time intelligence." Before Mitchell could continue, Emily's phone vibrated with a text message. She glanced at it briefly, a security alert from the system she had installed at her off-base apartment. Someone was attempting to access her door. "I need to go," Emily said, her tone hardening. 20 minutes later, Emily approached her apartment complex with caution, parking her car 2 blocks away and approaching on foot through the beach access path that ran behind the property. The security alert had shown a man in plain clothes attempting to pick her lock, not a random burglar, but someone with training. The attempt had failed thanks to the reinforced door and frame she had installed when she first moved in, but the man had not left. Instead, he had moved to the rear of the building, out of camera range. Emily circled her building, staying within the shadows of the palm trees as she surveyed the area. Her second-floor apartment appeared undisturbed, but her trained eye caught the subtle signs of surveillance. A car with 2 occupants parked with a clear view of her front door, a man pretending to work on a bicycle near the building's rear entrance. Too many people taking too much interest in a supposedly unremarkable range technician. This wasn't random. This was connected to Mitchell's appearance and Blackburn's recognition. Something had changed regarding Operation Jackknife, and now people were looking for her. Her phone vibrated. A text message from an unknown number. "Your apartment isn't safe. Meet me at Murphy's Bar in 30 minutes if you want to know why they're really looking for you. Blackburn." 25 minutes later, Emily entered Murphy's Bar, choosing a seat at the corner of the bar with her back to the wall and a clear view of both the main entrance and the kitchen exit. She ordered a club soda and waited, scanning each person who entered with the practiced assessment of someone who had spent years identifying threats in hostile environments. Congressman Blackburn arrived 5 minutes later, alone and dressed casually in jeans and a polo shirt rather than the business attire from earlier. He spotted Emily immediately and walked directly to her, taking the stool beside her. "Thank you for coming," he said, ordering a whiskey neat from the bartender. "I'm here for information, not conversation," Emily replied. "Why are people watching my apartment? What's happened with Operation Jackknife?" Blackburn waited until the bartender had delivered his drink and moved away before responding. 2 days ago, Commander Jackson was found dead in his home in Virginia Beach, gunshot wound to the head. The local police are calling it suicide. The news sent a shock through Emily. Commander Michael Jackson, the SEAL Team 6 leader from Operation Jackknife, the man whose report apparently contradicted her own. "But you don't think it was suicide?" Emily said, reading Blackburn's expression. "No," Blackburn confirmed. "Jackson contacted me last week, said he had discovered something about Jackknife that changed everything. He wanted to meet in person, wouldn't discuss it over the phone. Before we could meet, he was dead." "What did he discover?" Emily asked. "I don't know," Blackburn admitted. "But after his death, I started pulling threads. That's when I found out that the official record shows 2 different after-action reports from you. The original you submitted immediately after the mission, and a revised version submitted 72 hours later that contradicts the first." Emily's brow furrowed in confusion. "I never submitted a revised report. I filed my AAR before requesting separation. I never modified it." "That's what I suspected," Blackburn said grimly. "Someone altered the record to make it appear that you changed your story, to create a discrepancy between your account and Jackson's." "Why?" Emily demanded. "What would that accomplish?" "It established doubt about what really happened," Blackburn explained. "It created a narrative that either you or Jackson was lying about the mission details. And since Jackson's report aligned with the official narrative that the mission failed due to bad luck rather than bad intelligence, I became the scapegoat," Emily finished the thought, "the one whose account couldn't be trusted." "Exactly," Blackburn confirmed. "And now that Jackson discovered something that might vindicate your original report, he's dead, and people are looking for you." Emily's mind raced through the implications. "The men at my apartment, they're not just watching, they're waiting." "Most likely," Blackburn agreed. "Which is why you need to come with me. I have resources that can protect you while we figure out what Jackson discovered and who altered your report." Emily studied the congressman's face, looking for any sign of deception. "With respect, sir, how do I know you're not part of this? You were briefed on Operation Jackknife. You had access." "A fair question," Blackburn acknowledged. "I could tell you to trust me because I was a SEAL myself, but that wouldn't mean much. So instead, I'll give you this." He slid a flash drive across the bar. This contains security camera footage from Naval Intelligence Headquarters showing someone accessing the jackknife files at 2 p.m., 3 days after the mission when your revised report was supposedly submitted, someone using Admiral Crawford's credentials. Emily pocketed the flash drive, her decision made. I'm not going with you. If Crawford was involved, there could be others at higher levels. I need to move independently. You can't run from this forever, Davis, Blackburn warned. These people have resources, and they've already found you once. I'm not running, Emily clarified, but I need to verify what's on this drive before I trust anyone in the chain of command. I'll contact you when I know more. Blackburn looked like he wanted to argue, but instead nodded reluctantly. Be careful. And Davis, he paused, sliding a phone across the bar. Use this to contact me. It's secure and untraceable. As Emily left the bar through the kitchen exit, avoiding the main street, her mind was already formulating a plan. She needed a secure location to review the flash drive's contents, and she needed to find out who had sent men to her apartment. But most importantly, she needed to understand what had really happened on Operation Jackknife, what had really cost the lives of 4 SEAL operators. The photograph in her notebook seemed to burn in her pocket, a reminder of both what she had lost and what she had survived. 3 years of hiding, of trying to forget, had just come to an end. Now it was time to find the truth, no matter the cost,